The number 21 USC Trojans will be going on the road this week to take on the number 23 Illinois Fighting Illini in a game that is starting at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Champaign time, big noon kickoff. Let's talk about these two teams. Starting off with Illinois, the Illini are 3-1 on the season with a 52-3 win against Western Illinois, a 45-19 win against Duke, and a 38-0 win over Western Michigan. However, last week the Illini went on the road to Indiana where they lost 63-10, and we will come back to that game. The Illini are led by head coach Brett Bielema in his 5th year as head coach at Illinois, leading the Illini to 31 wins and 23 losses in those 5 years. This Illinois team had a lot of hype to start the year. They started the preseason poll at 12th before working their way up to 9th and then getting moved down after their loss to Indiana last week. At quarterback for Illinois is Luke Altmyer. Luke Altmyer is 70 for 100 on the year, 70% completion percentage, 855 yards, which breaks down to 213 yards per game. Luke has 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 16 sacks on the season. Now, at times, Luke Altmyer has looked really good. However, there's also been some times he's looked bad, particularly last week against Indiana, completing only 14 passes on 22 attempts, throwing for 146 yards and only 1 touchdown. He also took some sacks in that game, finishing the game with -27 rushing yards. Now, Altmyer has done a pretty good job spreading the ball around this year, with one receiver in particular that is obviously his favorite, and that is Hank Beatty. 21 receptions, 302 yards, and 1 touchdown on the year for the wide receiver from Rochester, Illinois, the hometown boy. He's also connected with Colin Dixon for 10 receptions for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. Justin Bowick, 8 receptions for 86 yards and 3 touchdowns, and hasn't really gotten a connection going with tight end Cole Rusk, who only has 4 receptions for 28 yards and 1 touchdown on the season. Now, this Illinois team is not a run team. They have a couple of running backs that have gotten carries throughout the year, that being Caden Fegan, the junior from Atwood, Illinois, who has 55 carries, 240 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the season. And running back number 2 being Khalil Valentine, the sophomore from Hayward, California, who has 31 carries, 169 yards, and only 2 touchdowns on the season. Now, overall, this Illinois team is a passing team. It is in their DNA, with their 1 touchdown against Indiana being a long passing touchdown on broken coverage from Indiana. And we've all seen that USC has struggled with some broken coverages and some broken defensive plays on defense this year. This Illinois team does like to run a lot out of 3 receiver sets with 1 tight end on the field. They will also move that tight end out into the slot, making it a 4 receiver set in obvious passing situations, as well as moving into a split back in obvious run situations. Now, looking at their 2 Power 5 games against Duke, Illinois gave up 334 yards in the air on 2 touchdowns and 1 interception to Darian Menshaw, but only gave up 82 total team rushing yards to Duke. Against Duke, this Illinois team looks like they are a very good defense in the run and not a very good defense on the pass. However, when we go to the Indiana game in which they lost 63-10, Fernando Mendoza for Indiana threw 21 completions on 23 attempts, 267 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Here, Indiana very much looks like they have some holes in their secondary and they aren't great against the pass. However, Indiana absolutely dominated Illinois on the ground. 312 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns on the ground, a long of 40. Indiana was pounding the ball all day on Illinois. Now, you look at that score, 63-10, you hear those stats, and it sounds like Illinois has no defense. They are not a good passing defense. They are not a good running defense. They are not a good defense. However, this team did look pretty solid before this game. And I'm not quite ready to say that this was not just a fluke game for Illinois. Now, Indiana was definitely Illinois' hardest test to date, but they still held Duke to only 19 points. They had a shutout against Western Michigan. They only gave up 3 to Western Illinois. So this defense at times has shown that they can be capable, but they definitely were not capable against Indiana. Now, what does this mean for USC? How will Lincoln Riley and the Trojans attack this game? Well, I think they will do it just like they did against Michigan State. using the run to set up the pass. And if the run is there, take the run all day. Look for Wayman Jordan and Eli Sanders to have big games. Look for King Miller to get some touches as well. But this is a Lincoln Riley offense, and Lincoln Riley is known to use the run to set up the pass. So if the run isn't there, if we're not averaging 5 yards per carry and we're not looking great, just good on the ground, expect Jaden Mayava to air the ball out and go off for some big numbers. Jaden Mayava, who is leading the country in quarterback efficiency and yards per attempt. Jaden Mayava, who had 5 touchdowns himself last week. Now, defensively, this game scares me as a USC guy. USC has had a dominant pass rush, a dominant run stop, really, really good linebackers. But the one area that they have struggled is by far the passing coverage, the passing defense. Their coverage has looked like Swiss cheese sometimes. They have had broken plays, broken coverages that have gone for big yards. Look at the first touchdown from Michigan State last week. Look at Georgia Southern's first touchdown. This USC defense will give up big yards in the pass. This USC defense will also give up penalties that will extend drives. We all saw it last week in that one drive against Michigan State where we let Michigan State back into the game. Penalty after penalty after penalty after penalty that gave Michigan State another chance on offense with a running into the kicker call, and then 3 penalties that extended that drive for the Spartans and ultimately ended up in a touchdown. USC needs to be better and needs to have far less penalties than they currently have right now. This team is not playing very disciplined. Coach Riley, Coach Lynn, they need to clean up these hands to the face. These hands to the face are ridiculous. However, with that said, I think USC will take this game. Now look, there are some things working against them. The passing defense. Illinois is running their offense through their quarterback. The 9 a.m. kickoff time. The 9 a.m. kickoff time will definitely be a factor in this game, just like the 8 p.m. kickoff was a factor in the Michigan State game. But that is something that USC can work through. But I think that Jaden Mayava, Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane if he's back, Wayman Jordan, Eli Sanders, this offense will not be stopped by this Illinois team. If Indiana can put up 63, USC should be able to put up more than that. Now, I'm not saying they will. We have seen that Lincoln Riley has started controlling the clock, running the ball when there's a lead. But this offense is more than capable of putting up more than 63 points if Indiana can. Big noon kickoff. 9 a.m. game. Early morning game on the West Coast. Toughest challenge for USC to date. And I'll be eating pancakes and watching that game. Let me know where you'll be watching that game from. And if you like seeing college football content and USC content on your YouTube feed, then make sure to hit the like and the subscribe button so YouTube knows to push these videos to you.